Hey everyone, welcome to another typology interview. We have Austin Aller and Mc- Jay McCrae Fitness. Jason, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi.
So
How's it
I'm
going?
just going to remind everyone of your type right now. We're dealing with the twin types right here. Can we see this? So you're both going to be the standard INTJ, but you're going to have sleep last. So that makes you go last, play, consume. And you're double feminine, meaning your sleep is feminine and your play is masculine. Your double masculines there, right?
Think so.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
we're masculine intuition, masculine sensory.
Oh, masculine intuition.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, masculine intuition and then masculine feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your masculine intuition. So you're not FF.
We are FF,
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
First one sensory,
Right,
second
yeah,
one.
yeah, right, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So I don't remember if I was right.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna talk about twin types. First of all, do you guys like feel that you guys are similar at least? Because I know there's like quite a few differences between the two of you, and also like from my interview with Jay, um, like a lot of people weren't digging the INTJ from you. They weren't seeing it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So Austin and I talk about this a lot. This is what we do, right? And so this is what we spend all our time doing is figuring out the differences between us. And we find that he definitely swings more the IP's way, right? The internal processing, taking the pride more in being smart, I guess I would say. And then I kind of went the other way. I never really saw myself as smart, and I went the EP way where I really try to take, connect with the tribe. I would even say I'm more EJ than Austin would be, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, okay, just to refresh everyone's memory, Jay also has a twin brother, and you guys are typed pretty much the same, if not exactly the same as well.
We're the same, but I'm the glass lizard versions. Or well,
Right.
he's sorry, he's NITI. I mean NIFI. So he's NIFI. I'm
Okay. Right.
NITE. But then we
Right.
have the double activations that make it a lot different.
Right. And then you also were saying that he took the IJ role and he forced you kind of into an EP role
Yeah, right.
in
Yeah.
your brotherhood sort of thing. Yeah. So do you also take that role with Austin, do you think? Like more of an EP role?
I think I take more the IJ role with Austin, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. And what's interesting is I think because I didn't have the because I did the EP role my whole life, as I got older and everything, I went more the IJ role.
Mm. And Austin
Yeah.
is going a little more EP with you then?
Yeah, I would say he's coming more toward this, yeah, the EP side.
Yeah, it's more or less like being flexible around things. And I find that I'm fairly flexible with our conversations and what we're discussing and talking about, and just going more with the flow in a sense. And he's kind of the directive of some of our conversations and stuff, right? And I'm just filling in the gaps and pieces behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to play that support role quite a bit, naturally, kind of Robin versus Batman in a sense. But I think I'm integrating a little more of Batman in myself nowadays. I'm finding some roles and different things and doing that. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the double feminine too, sort of like following and
Yeah.
flowing with external. Yeah, there's stuff like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, your double feminine is going to be in the play, right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, so let's talk about your NI. Have you guys noticed a difference in your NI, or maybe just tell us what you see NI as? Start with whoever wants to answer
Sure.
first.
Yeah. So just personally are big differences between Austin and I.
Well, like, how do you see your NI play out, and how do you see it the same way? Like, maybe start with how you see your own, and then we'll
Okay.
see if Austin can leap from there.
Yeah, man. I see my NI is very strong and with a ton of certainty. So I just feel like I really do know what's coming or going on. However, it does have to be. I think Austin mentioned this earlier in the interview we did earlier on our side. He was saying that it's more like within the IJ box, right? So as long as it's in my world, my whatever I experiencing I'm into, I feel really pretty confident, but also on the other end, sometimes I'm confident in throwing it out there just so I can test it in the real world and see if it holds or not. Because I know if I say this with certainty, it's going to break down in the real world if I'm not like, I'll get the feedback if I'm off, right? So that's kind of how I think of mine, I guess.
Is that kind of what happens with you too, Austin?
Well, the way I kind of internalize the difference between Josh and I and our NI is that, like, I'll have things in my imagination in a sense, but I haven't got as much results in reality as Josh has. So I think he has more sort of respect for the SE a little more, and he's able to really keep on getting that feedback over and over and over, right? So like in the past, really building my self-esteem around some of it being smart, that I would immerse myself more in my imagination and wouldn't actually get that external feedback as much to sort of create that cross balance or that cross check in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also I noticed too that when I'm going into abstract land, I tend to feel like I have a lot of reasons to sort of work through, figure out all the reasons behind my abstract ideas, right? Whereas with Josh, all he really needs is that big picture to start going and start moving in a sense, right? So it's just like NIFI, let's go. And me, it's like I kind of want all this TE to make sure I'm cross-referencing and making sure I'm removing the failure conditions in the future, right? I want to cross-check over there, make sure that I'm checking my bases before I actually get started and get moving. But oftentimes I just spend too much time in my head where I should be taking in more of that sensory a lot quicker.
So do you find like it might be easier for him to get started on something and it'll take longer to get started?
Yeah, because it's like seeing the forest and seeing the trees. And I'm constantly being distracted by like all these trees, all the weeds, and just like I feel like I have to pay attention and acknowledge all these different things. And so it just slows me down to try to make sure that everything is perfect before I actually get started. It's like just being perfectionist, analysis paralysis. I'm very analytical. Josh isn't as analytical, as far as working through those things. But he gets in more sensory because of that, and I get in less naturally,
So Josh, so you guys are both blast first, but you're having trouble getting started, it sounds like, and Josh doesn't have trouble getting started. Like, so do you see that your blast animal might be different or something?
I think of it as me. I have higher play, even though we're the same function, obviously. But
Right.
I think my play is more activated than his for some reason. Maybe because I went the EP role. Maybe because I had a lower F. I feel when I started my life. Right. I was just born to really low F because my twins making decisions. Right. So so I have a lot more. I feel like F in the game when it comes to stuff. So I don't even. It's almost like a desperate tantrum. It's like, I'm going to get there and I need to get there yesterday. So I'm just in this hurry and I don't care about what's in the way. So for me, it's very easy. Like as soon as I'm there emotionally, then I go, but I don't really move unless I'm there emotionally that often.
Do you also need the plan to get there, Josh?
Not at all. No, I don't do, no, a big difference between Austin and I is I don't really do as much internal processing at all. I actually don't do really much planning when it comes to doing things. I always just do. As soon as I even think like, what if, I'm like, how would I know? I got to go try it and do it. And then I'll get the feedback and know. And then it's just so much faster and it's funner that way for me.
Yeah, and I think too, because it's just kind of like where we get stimulation. And Josh has gotten so much stimulation from doing things in this way throughout his whole life, getting those results, that provided that stimulation as far as who he's becoming in a sense. Whereas me, like just being inside my head and figuring these things out and playing a lot of video games growing up, I can have all this stimulation inside my head because it kept on giving me those feedback loops, those reward systems. So I felt like I was succeeding or winning at whatever games I was playing, but Josh was playing a different game. And, so that worked out that way. But also too, I would say that Josh, because we talk a lot about this difference, this is a really starking and sharp difference between him and I, is that we're both in our head space so much and we're both moving into our more heart space in a sense, just through the progression of our lives, our hero's journey. But he's a lot more of like Enneagram type 7, whereas I'm more of Enneagram type 5. So I'll be very much so observing my environment, investigating, withdrawing in a sense, whereas he will be engaging, sort of seeking that stimulus in the moment, and feeling like a scarcity that he needs to get it right here, right now, or else he might miss out on things, like fear of missing out type stuff. And so I find myself in my hero's journey actually moving towards his arena and doing more of what he's doing. And we also talk about him moving towards more of where I'm at as far as what I'm doing. So it's really, really weird and freaky how like we're both the same 512 type, but we have these sharp differences, and it's helped us because we're helping out each other, seeing like the opposites and help. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from your description, you're talking about like that you have this field that you need to cover, and sort of maybe one of you guys started on one side of the field and the other one started on the other, but you still have to cover the other side. So you're going to sort of meet in the middle and then cross sort of thing.
Yeah, Austin and I do that a lot. And then we also talked to a couple other type twins of ours. We talked to Melissa, Brian, a couple of times with Brian, and Joe. Right. And what we keep noticing is we're all on the same like thing. We all want to figure everything out. And it's like Joe will be like super well processed and experienced in this area. Austin will be super well processed, experienced in this area. I'm here. And then we can kind of see it's like, oh, I've been stuck here this whole time. Like that was hard. How'd you get through that? And it's a very unique, creative, cool way that I never would have thought of, but it will work for me because we're so similar. And so we do a lot of that kind of triangulation to fill in the pieces, and we get a lot of light bulbs from that, like a lot of endorphin release from those light bulb moments.
Yeah, right. And I think with the NI as well, it's really, really fascinating and great how we come to these really, it just feels like it's not all that shocking of an insight to us. It's just like, oh yeah, it's just my NI. I've already processed this before. But when we're sharing it with each other, sometimes like, whoa, like this is really, really good, what you just shared. Like that's so valuable. And, you know, because we're all in our headspace, we're looking for the new stimulation and thinking and thoughts that's like this old stuff's like, oh yeah, oh well, that's great, that's good. So we keep on providing that for each other and sharing that with each other. It's really interesting.
Right. Like, so each of you have all kind of had like the same goal in acquiring those understanding. Like, this is what I'm just giving you feedback from what you said. So you each have like this goal and understanding in your lives, and you're always trying to get that NI understanding sort of thing, that concept. And then each of you has sort of been in a different arena, getting different concepts. And so then once you actually go and take people through the process of acquiring that concept, it's like, it's something you can just share between like sharing technology sort of thing between cultures. And then you all grow together because this person's done the work here and you've done the work there. It's that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's not theory anymore. I'm a big believer in experience trumps thoughts, right? Like all day, right? And so it's cool when we can, when we all go our different ways for the experiences and kind of piece them together. It's really helpful, and it helps me see how like creative these guys are. It's like really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like? Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Oh, well, I was going to take you off to another tangent, so you may want to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like who's the odd one out of all of your type twins? Who's like the person who's the most different?
That's a really good question.
Probably Brian, I'd say. The reason I would say Brian is one, he's one out of us that has very solid religious views. I think that he also is lower energy than all of us, and he's not as intense for some reason. He is a little bit older. I don't know if that helps, but that's all I would say. What about you, Austin?
I feel like with Brian, there's something about him where he has like this really good sort of emotional awareness. That
yeah, I agree.
I feel like he's on the other side of the hero's journey in regards to that I haven't gone there quite yet, or a lot of us not.
Right. So he's older. That might be the difference. Yeah.
Right.
And also it's kind of the visual components too. Like I think as far as working through stories, I remember in the Facebook group he mentioned as far as feeling like he was a storyteller and wanting to embody that, and sort of the process, the flow of that journey kind of felt a little NE oriented in a sense, just the fun and exciting of going through that process for people. Just so it didn't feel as intense, in that extent. But it's interesting, because one of the fascinating things I'm kind of processing out loud is like some of us are very like artsy fartsy in a sense, and others of us aren't as much like with aesthetics. Like for example, Josh is a lot better with aesthetics than I am, as far as like the colors, the flow, the feel, the energy, vibes of like say the YouTube channel that we're working on. And for me, I'm so absent-minded from those things. And that may be just through him like learning and growing through what he's done in his life as far as working in music and doing different things to get results in reality. But I see other people of my similar type, and I'm just not quite as artsy like that. I just don't really have that knack. So it's just kind of interesting. Yeah.
I kind of think of that as involving the sensory more.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. It's like the feminine sensory.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It like the whole thing that Josh can just jump into something without a plan. That just sounds really anti-IJ in some way. Like it sounds like a huge difference. Like it sounds like something that an IJ would never feel comfortable ever. So like, how do you explain that?
It's the tools I chose to use, I think. So for example, when processing was very hard for me as a kid, school was very hard for me. I didn't learn like the kids. I was just so in my abstract world, I just couldn't focus. That was the main thing of it, I'm realizing now.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I have some trauma around thinking I was stupid and all that stuff as a kid, it kind of makes it go blank when I try to internally process a lot. And so I think the trauma is responsible for me in a good way, right? Because I remember consciously thinking, whatever this is where I go in and try to figure things out is like, I didn't even have that many words for it. I just knew I hated it and I'd go black and it was so frustrating and all that. I was like, I'm just not going to do that anymore. And then so I really wanted to remove sleep, which we are missing sleep. And so then I was like, okay, well, when I just go do, then I learn, it's fun, I can play. And then, because we like to figure things out, that's the whole point. And that's just my tool I use to figure things out is like playing, trying out. To me, it just made the most sense. It was the most practical. It was the most information dense. And then you get uncomfortable, and then that's good because then you get to that next level 10 times faster because you got a fire under you. You know, so that's kind of the way I think.
And one of the really fascinating things about Josh that I'm learning about myself is just how much I'm leaving on the table by not blast playing enough. Because I'm so much inside my own head and like consuming information and stuff, that I think that leveraging the savior animals to sort of support the entire psyche, you know, the lower animals and stuff, is just a better way to go about things because I'm so much more stimulated by blast play. So that's what I should be doing as much as humanly possible. And that's what Josh, he literally encompassed and surrounded his entire life to be supporting that. And we also talked like with Joe, for example, and he was going to consume sleep a lot, right, with around his type. And it's like, us talking with him really helped him realize and understand that, well, like the blast play is where the magic is, where literally you do that a whole bunch, then you start to understand like your FI better, low FI, you start to support all these other parts. And so that's really what it comes down to, is that allows for so much extra stimulation to really piece together other parts and other things. So it's super interesting.
You agree with that, Josh?
Yeah, I do. And it's kind of like my strategy of why I'm so vulnerable, where I tell everybody my deep traumas or my pain and stuff, is because it's scary, right, to do. But then I learned at a young age, when you do that, you can process it. And so it's like, yeah, it's uncomfortable for 2 weeks when I tell everyone that about a childhood situation or something. Yeah, but after that 2 weeks, I keep talking about it, I keep processing it, and now I get on the other side of that. So I do it for emotions and logic, I feel.
Yeah, this is something I remember from, I did a couple interviews with Austin, and Austin was saying two things over and over again. One, that he really likes bouncing ideas off the tribe, and that he sort of needs that ping feedback. And not only like once he's done that, and so it's pretty cool that your type is that way, and you guys have sort of congregated around each other to be able to do that together, because it's like it's like that process that Austin was always looking for, and now that you found twin types, you all can do that together.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
like
kind of
yeah, it's magic and crack mixed.
Right. Yeah, because it's like what you guys really need, what you're missing, and you all missing, and you're all needing it. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense to be addictive for all of you.
Yeah.
It really helps us like kind of process ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other thing that I was seeing from you guys is that you do having that sleep last, and you need to process externally like that. You're helping each other process internally. You're doing that sleep by doing that blast play sort of thing.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I think my strategy in life was to never have to do my sleep. I'm just going to talk all day. So right. Subconsciously, I feel like
through doing that, you're doing your sleep though.
Yeah. And it's way faster, and it's insights I never would have really consciously thought of internally. It's a different part of your brain. I feel, at least for me, with the internal and external. So I'm getting magical insights. Yeah, it's a great strategy for me, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I wanted to mention is, like, as far as talking with Josh a whole lot every week, it it's kind of scary sometimes as far as getting down to the layers and the depths of your ego and like why you're doing what you're doing. I think that both him and I are like kind of social Enneagram type. Like, even though he's a type 7 and a type 5, we have that social subtype thing. And so there's a lot of reasons behind like what we do with other people for connection and like all these things. And just, yeah, just getting to the depths of that, I think, and seeing yourself in a whole new light, and being able to see where you're kind of selfish, I guess, right? Because there are just a ton of selfish motives, and what are the roots of that selfishness, and what are we actually getting from it, and what is he doing to get his thing, and what am I doing to get my thing? It's just, we're more intentional behind our actions, and we have more control, I think, is one of the things. And IJ wanting to control, that's all we want. So
yeah, I don't think you're allowed to say that to, like, because we are getting more control by talking to each other. That's like, yeah, that's like wrong. Don't do that.
Yeah, but it's very helpful. And the one last thing on that is it's helpful because with me and Austin's relationship is because we speak the same language, our brains are the same speed, but it also helps that we see each other as a mirror. So anytime I've ever been annoyed and frustrated with Austin, I can literally flip a mirror and then it would be 10 times more me doing that.
That's so weird. Yeah.
And oh my God, has it helped me, because now I'm just like, how am I doing that? I know I'm doing it somewhere because it's triggering me, and I'm doing it probably 10 times more. And then I find it, and then I can deal with it and release it. It's amazing for me, man.
It's like watching yourself on video and getting annoyed at all of the touching your nose or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like at the beginning, like I would actually get pissed at Austin a little bit because I'd see all these flaws in myself. It was
right.
Bizarre.
It really, yeah, has them be a lot more exposed, where you're like, really what it actually is.
Yes.
I noticed that, like, sometimes, like one time I was arguing about something that was kind of silly or dumb, and it just didn't really matter a whole lot. And Josh was kind of like saying that on his end, like, oh, that was dumb. And then like the next day we're talking again, and he was arguing with me around something that was kind of dumb or silly. It was like really similar, it's different context. So it was a really similar premise. And like we both fell down the same hole. Like he saw me jumping off a cliff, and then the next day I was jumping off that same, or it was vice versa. You know?
He was jumping off that same cliff.
Yeah, he was jumping off the same cliff, and we're just like laughing about it afterwards, because I was telling Josh, I'm like, dude, I just did this yesterday, or you just did this yesterday, and now I got mixed up. But yeah. It's really, really weird.
Wow.
Really weird.
Like a huge part of personal growth is coming into contact with your own flaws, like seeing your own shortcomings. And like, it's really hard to do if it's yourself, because like we're focusing on our own, our own saviors, our own strengths, and we're trying to ignore our own weaknesses, and we're always looking for those weaknesses in others. But like, if you're in front of yourself and you see those weaknesses in him, you're seeing them in you, sort of thing. So it's huge personal growth right there.
So massive, man. I've grown leaps since knowing Austin, and the process. I mean, yeah, our relationship's amazing, man. It's really good.
But like, you have a twin brother, so that should have been happening your whole life, no?
No, he's a feeler, so he speaks a foreign language to me. Right. He's NIFI, double masculine savior, so he's pushing. He's not really seeming receptive. He doesn't want to play with ideas or anything.
And he's also sleep last, consume, or play consume.
Yeah.
And his brother is consume last. He's a feeler as well. Josh and I feel responsible for giving the truth, like information for the tribe. And his brother is like energy dom feeler, right? So he's like not wanting all this, truth and all this stuff, all this information. Like he's just rejecting it, basically. So it's like, it's a tough situation.
So it's not like seeing yourself in the mirror, really.
Not at all. It's actually, kind of. It's going to my deeper demons, I would say. So it goes a little deeper in a more, if I can get on that feeler team somehow, our relationship, me and my twins would be so much different, but then me as a person would be more whole. And so that's my goal, is I'm trying to work toward emotions. That's my next move that I'm working on.
But it sounds like you're working to your emotions through the external processing. Like, do you feel that you're doing that, or do you feel like you need to get that sleep in some way?
It helps get a surface so I'm more conscious of it. I'm just not conscious of my emotions, you know. I don't realize I've been depressed for a week. So when I talk about it, it surfaces. I can see it more and I can attack it more because I want to figure things out. So I want to figure it out.
Right.
So I get obsessed with it, you know.
Austin, can you see when he's depressed, or can he see when you're depressed?
It's so funny because like when we're blasting or when we're sharing our information, like we'll start getting emotionally engaged and stimulated and stuff, but we won't realize how emotional we're actually getting around something. So he'll and both him and I do this. We don't realize like how emotional we actually are externally perceived by others. And then I'm asking him, like, when he's doing that to me, I'm like, dude, you're really getting emotional around this thing. Like, it's not that big a deal. He's like, oh yeah, no, I don't feel anything. He like turns it off like the hose. He's just like, yeah, that's nothing.
Right.
But then I'm doing the exact same thing, and then I'm telling him like, he's like, oh, dude, you need to calm down. I'm like, I'm calm. Like, it's no big deal. Like,
and then he's just like, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, I'm calm,
doesn't
bro.
feel that way. It doesn't feel that way at all. We're absent.
It doesn't. Yeah, we don't connect to it. We want.
So you're ignorant of your calmness, or you're ignorant of how emotionally charged you are, and you're able to see it as a mirror, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we're talking. Yeah, like this. Like when I'm starting to get emotionally engaged, like it feels like the sleep, like just broken connection with my emotions. I don't know. I don't feel it.
Well, it's just such, we disrespect it super. Like we're disrespecting it so much. It's just like, I don't care what that is. I got to get the truth out first. You know, what's the truth? I got to get this truth met. Like, I need to try to see this truth. And then it's just like, whatever emotions, that's just getting in the way.
Yeah,
you know?
We're basically sacrificing everything for that. Like finding the truth and then sharing the truth. Finding the truth and sharing the truth.
And if someone's going to stop you from blasting when you have the truth that you want to share, that's like the frustrating thing. That's where you get most emotionally charged.
Oh, yeah. And especially because most of the time we're trying to still process it. We're externally processing still, and then it's stopping our processing, and then it's play function too, almost. And there's a lot of things that could go wrong if you go against something that we're saying.
Yeah.
That might not end well for you.
Right.
And then if other people aren't emotionally on board with what we're saying, then that could really deter us or make us feel sort of uncomfortable, right? Because we want to move other people kind of with what we're sharing and what we're doing, right? We want them to actually take it in and be able to integrate that in their life. So if they don't see like the light bulb going off in their minds or in their head, like they're like, oh yeah, oh thank you. Like it's helpful to get that in a sense, at least for me. Like I think Josh in a sense too. It's
like, I feel like we're losing connection because deep down we're like EJs, but that's our highest, right? So we really want connection, and then it's weird. It literally feels like we're being emotionally abandoned, and then it makes us start blaming them, and then we're finding something logically to explain that emotion, and then we're blaming them, and we're like, well, you don't care about me, or you don't care about what I'm saying, because when our F's involved, we're very sensitive to things we're saying.
Do you feel like getting to know yourself better through each other, sort of thing? Do you feel like that's hurting your ability to get to know others better, or it's maybe getting you to want other people to understand you more because you finally found someone that can understand you? I don't know if I've phrased that right.
I would say it's more vice versa. So I would say because I'm seeing so much of me and Austin and I'm doing so much work, I've been naturally seeing how awesome Austin is. Because the triggers aren't in the way.
Self-confidence.
The triggers aren't in the way. Like why would I not think Austin's awesome if I think I'm awesome? Because we're the same, right? And so like when I work on myself, then it gets the frustration, resentment between us. And I'm noticing that transfer to other people in my life, right? I don't know if it's because I feel understood or not. I don't care as much about that, I think, as Austin does. But it's more connection. Yeah, it's more connection. So I've been learning that the more I fix me, the more I can be actually emotionally connected to others. That's been a big light bulb for me recently.
Yeah, and I think that really getting to the roots of the psyche and understanding the selfishness thing and the reasons why we do what we do has helped me feel more compassion towards other people. Also doing a lot of the interviews that we've been doing, seeing the patterns play themselves out the same way, the same people kind of with the same personality types. It's just a lot more compassion, I think, love and understanding for other people, because it's like we don't judge them we still judge people like in a sense. Everyone does, I think, to a degree, but it's like less. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I see where they're coming from, or I see
Yeah.
why they're doing this because their functions and all these things. So it's just going to be enhanced, going to be so much better. I think the more that we keep on talking amongst each other and also with other people in the community, it's just going to get way, way better over time. And it's just going to be really great, I think, with that understanding.
So like, I've often thought this, that it's easier to empathize with someone who's more similar to you. So like you guys should, based on that logic, you guys should be really good at empathizing with each other and seeing where each other is coming from. Like it should be like really natural to use that empathy with each other. You would get kind of addicted that someone else maybe knows you in that way. Someone else is able to empathize with you in that way, that maybe when you go to someone else and they're not able to do that, you would feel like, hey, why aren't you empathizing with me? Does that happen?
Well, I think when it clicks, like for me and Austin, like we empathize once it clicks, but it just takes a while to click because we have the same blind spots, right? We're not realizing we're robots together. Actually, Austin, go ahead if you want to get your thought out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true to an extent because I see so much of him and me, and he sees so much of me and him that we do connect, and we do see those things on a fundamental level, and so it's just like, oh yeah, we could more or less move past it in a sense. But I do think too that it is harder with, like, say someone who's savior FI to sort of be able to have the empathy because we're just like, hey, let's just fix it. And they're more like, hey, let's have the open space for emotions first, and then maybe I could fix on the back end type of thing. But at the same time too, seeing that play out in so many different people, it allows for that empathy. It allows for that more understanding that they are different. But yeah, the similarity thing I think does help, like what you said around the empathy thing to a degree. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we talked like vaguely about all the functions without specifically mentioning them. SE is something that we were talking about a little bit on your channel. Did another interview just there. So I'm wondering, like, I'd like to recall that debate a little bit, talking about how important the SE is for your NI concepts. And Austin had something on that, so maybe I'll let you just say that again to start off.
Well, based on like what premise, as far as,
like,
I guess
you were saying that you don't need the SE until you actually want to go and test a concept for success.
Yeah, because Josh and I are going to come up with these intuitive, like, sort of imagination of like what the future could look like and stuff. And so we want to blast play it in reality in a sense to sort of get the sensory. We're going to naturally do that as long as we take action on our imaginations in a sense. And like with me in my past, sometimes I would just be in my head and I won't allow the sensory feedback to come in, but it's more or less just testing it in reality. And then it kind of does that cross check or that sort of counterbalance automatically. The more sensory you get in to counterbalance your imagination. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what else to go around that, but it's just doing that. It's blast playing it. It's like backwards for other people in a sense, where we start with imagination, we're moving in, we grab all that sensory, whereas lead sensors would want to gather all the sensory first, in a sense, the step-by-step maybe, and then go out and test, and then the pattern sort of reveals itself as far as, the end goal or end destination or something.
Right. So do you do the same process, Josh?
No. Just because I'm interacting more with the physical world, right? So it's like my whole trial and error is in the physical world anyway. So I'm just throwing things out there, testing it, adjust, move, go, right? So that's kind of that. So, but yes, in the sense of, I guess, but it's more, I feel like I have closer guardrails, I guess, than Austin, where I don't go as far, I think, from what I can tell.
Well, what I think is both Josh and I, this is going to be the same truth for, I think, everyone who has NI first as their savior, is we're unconsciously actually thinking about and sort of planning out the future in a sense, right? So when Josh says that he doesn't really plan or think out things before actually doing, I think that we're both doing that unconsciously quite a bit, where we're just kind of, that's where our focus is, right? It just feels so natural.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make a distinction. I'm doing that literally every second of my life. I'm planning steps ahead. Like if I'm going to the store, I'm imagining I'm going watermelons here and grapes here and strawberries. I'm picturing, right? But when it comes to trying to work towards something with my F on a goal, then I don't do that anymore. Then it's more, I just go because I don't want to sit and wonder what could be. It's like, how would I know? Like, hey, you just got to go for it, right? So to me, it's just the best logical strategy. I think of it as a logical strategy.
Yeah, in a sense too, though, I think that with like Josh, before he takes action on a thing, he'll check, I think, with his FI and also his NI, be like, where am I actually heading, and like with this thing, you know, and what kind of meaning does that have, right?
Yeah.
So that is kind of NIFI, and then he jumps in, and then he lets the sort of things reveal and show themselves, right? Whereas I'll have this NI big picture, and then I'll have sort of the steps and layers underneath that I'm trying to imagine and figure out in my head, which is kind of the puzzles and stuff, the pieces that fit within the bigger picture. Whereas Josh just doesn't do that, and he'll just let the reality sort of reveal what that actually is. So they're actually both really planning. They're both doing this similar type of process. It's just that I integrate a lot more of the T plus a little more like imagination, right? And so I'm more or less like realizing how not valuable that is in a lot of ways. So I'm doing less of that over time. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're missing half the information on the board, like Dave and Chen say all the time?
Oh, me, definitely. Yeah. I feel like I'm hyper aware of that almost in a sense. Yeah. I always feel like I'm missing more sensory information for sure.
Well, what I feel like for me is...
Well, sometimes I feel like I don't need it, by the way. So sometimes it's like, it's not going to stop me, but I'm aware that I probably need to get it. So I won't jump into things. That's why it's like, it depends on the things, because usually I have to, as long as I feel like I can see the NI path, then I'm good. I don't need anything else. But sometimes I'll need more sensory to build the NI. And then once that NI is there, then I'm going.
Yeah, I think that like with David Shan talking about really focusing on your demons and stuff, I think that what's really great about NI and having a low SC is that we have that objective goal in reality. We have that thing that we want in the future. It's more or less just taking action and letting the sensory sort of coming in and not disrespecting it. Like literally taking in and realizing this is important for us to reach the end goal, the NI. And so it naturally reveals and sort of unveils itself if we just don't disrespect it when it comes. That's it. So that's kind of what I wanted to say around that. But yeah, I was going to say something else, but I just lost it. And Josh and I go through this all the time where we'll be like on a roll, but then we'll just like lose something. Oh, where am I going?
Yeah.
All day, baby. All day.
No, I'm digging those tangents. That's cool. Okay. Do you have anything like... Do you have anything like, okay, so say someone else is your exact type and they don't know anyone yet. They're not in your little close-knit group of we're the twin types. Would you have any advice for them? Anything that like you guys have sort of figured out together that you can only figure out together?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So first advice, what I would say, you should definitely try to get around your type people and just talk if you can, just to get, and then look for triggers and then use the mirror thing. I think that's like the most valuable tool. And what was the other part of the question? Could you mind repeating some of the question?
Yeah, like so like say someone isn't in on your little closed group. Is there something that you guys figured out that you can only figure out as a group and that you could sort of just tell them or tell us?
I don't have anything. I'll send you.
So who's like a similar type as us, right? Or whatever?
Yeah. Like you were saying, like you each have like a different part of the field that you were revealing.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So I think that there's learnings from both, right? So it's like, and let me know if this is going in the right direction, but seeing Austin go more toward the IP way of life and then me going toward the more EP way of life, we've been seeing like the benefits of each. So for example, some of the benefits of taking action is that you're not in your head, you don't have fear, your anxiety is not going to be as high, you're not going to have anxiety around it. Like I always thought of taking action as the antidote for fear, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like that philosophy, like for our type, works really well, I feel, because it keeps you out of your head. I see our type getting in trouble when they're stuck in their head. That's what I keep noticing.
Right, and this is something that I guess Austin has trouble with, and he's sort of growing in that way at the moment. Is that true?
Yeah. It's mostly like a shift in identity versus like being smart and being an action.
Cool.
Leader. Yeah.
And you guys each have a YouTube channel, and you've got one together, and you've got one. So you've got the fitness stuff going on, right, Josh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the entrepreneur journey would be the YouTube channel, though.
Right.
Yeah, it's following our paths on our entrepreneur journey.
And then together, you guys have a different YouTube channel. You and Austin.
Correct. Yep.
So we'll put those in the description. And what's your YouTube channel about?
It's personality Q&As, and what it is Austin and we're getting all the types, and we're taking in, we have a set of like 50 questions, and we're going to have videos for the questions. So it will be like, are INTJs afraid of the dark? Or are they afraid, or do they have low self-esteem? Or what religion is are you, right? And then we have the same type answer the same questions, and then we have a collage so that we could all see similarities within our types. So something that we think is going to help the awareness of the community, seeing how they answer it, their emotions. It just gives a quicker, as opposed to going one by one.
One by one. So like this format, we're just going all in on one person at a time, and you're going to gather all those people all at once and just get one answer to the same question through everyone.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
And you can
just sort of like eliminate misconceptions around types. To see the similarities and differences within types of the MBTI 16, and just literally better education around types, because I think a lot of people just fall in these rabbit holes of like not really understanding what actually is.
And Austin, you have other things going on too that you want to promote?
Well, just more or less the OP community on Facebook. Right. And we have a class members group where we do a typing survey every week for the.
That's actually pretty cool. I haven't been able to take part, but it looks really cool that you're doing the pie chart, seeing who's typing them and how, and getting community.
It's like David Shannon are doing the weekly typing celebrity, and then I'm doing like a typing survey where you submit your results before David Shannon released the results in the class. Yeah. And so it's like a mass double-blind study where like there's 20 or 30 of us that are like guessing what type it is, and I reveal the results of the survey after David Shannon released the class. Right. So it's really neat. Yeah.
Do you have data from that? Like, are they close most of the time between the community and David Shannon, or are there people that have been really close all the time, or what's going on?
Yeah, it's really weird because with some people it's way off. Like I think it was with some, there's like 90 or 95% of us that are getting different results from David Shannon, but then with other people, we're actually getting really, really close. Like with this last guy, Dale Dye, I think a lot of people in the community got really, really close to David Shannon's results.
He's really obvious though.
Two people got the same exact type as David Shannon.
He's a really obvious though, ESTJ, like it's not hard to type him wrong.
I got it wrong. Like I thought I was falling for stereotypes or somting with my masculine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Guys, so we'll put all those links in the description. And hopefully we'll do another interview. I'll try to get your other twin types, and we'll try to get you all together at some point. It might be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, man.
And real quick, I wanted to mention something that I remembered from earlier is as far as gathering that SE and seeing those blind spots, I noticed that talking with some people in the community that have certain personality types has really helped in seeing the other side of the other coin of things. So like, for example, talking with Versavia has been really helpful for me.
Right,
she's like masculine, SC, FI, for example. And
she's on your coin. She's the opposite type. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just like, sometimes like, I feel like she's stepping on my toes. I feel like I might be stepping on her toes sometimes, but like, it's really, really great to like see that perspective. And then also like talking with Hannah, who's, she's NE-FI, and Josh.
Hannah's awesome.
Yeah, and that conversation was just out of this world when we're talking with her. And like, I think it's the double feminine versus double masculine. And then we get along really well with the NFPs. And so it's just super interesting how the dynamics of types play out with like friendships and connection and seeing those blind spots. It's super enlightening. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah. Anyway, have a good one. Thank you so much for coming out, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.